I feel like we say something along these lines every single month, but I genuinely can't believe it is time for my January 2026 TBR. Going into this year, one of my, I suppose, anti-goals has been to take part in less readathons and focus more on the books on my TBR, the books that I personally want to read, rather than picking things just because they fit prompts. However, I have a readathon this month that I've been planning to take part in anyway, so we're going to talk about that one first before we load up the game board. The Avatar 4 Nations readathon runs twice a year in January and July. The point of the readathon is to pick a nation from Avatar, either earth, air, fire or water, and you read books in order to progress up 10 levels of that bending ability, and you work on some kind of side quests related to that power too. Once you have achieved the highest rank and all of the side quests in your chosen element, you rotate into the next element with the ultimate goal to have completed all 4, become the Avatar and attain greatness. Now this will be my 3rd season, if you like, of playing the readathon, and I think in this one I should be able to wrap up the first of the nations that I chose. Hopefully by the end of the month I will have fully completed all 10 levels and all side powers in the Earth Kingdom category, and then in July I'll be able to move on to whatever element I'm meant to tackle next. So I'm gonna load up my own little graphic that I made on Canva that I've been using to track this readathon. As you can see, I have already completed the full 10 levels of the Earth Kingdom, and now I just need to work on those additional skills or groups in order to round myself out. So the one that I need to do 3 prompts for is lava bending. First prompt is to read a book with either lava on the cover or lava in the title, and I've had this one bookmarked for a while because it's such a hard prompt to fill, and when I realised I had a book that would fit, I was like, I'm saving this. So the book that I'm wanting to read is actually a reread, which is unusual for me, but it is Lava Red Feather Blue by Molly Ringle. It's a queer fantasy novel with a Sleeping Beauty gender flipped-esque modern technology fae world. I really enjoyed it the first time I read it. I think I gave it 5 stars, so I'm really hoping it's going to hold up, because I actually have another 2 books in the same series that I would like to get to. Supposedly all 3 of the books can be read completely as standalones, but I never fully trust when books tell me that, and I would like to read them all while each of the others is quite fresh in my mind. My hope is that I will be able to fit in the other 2 books somewhere else, either in the TBR or just as additional books this month. The next prompt is to read a book that is 650 plus pages, and I kind of dithered between 2 options here. Both are series I've been reading, both are series I would like to complete or at least catch up on in one case, and where I'm quite near that finish or catch up point, I just need to read maybe 1 or 2 more books, but the books are getting really long as the series goes along. So I wasn't sure whether to pick the 6th Shardlake book or the 6th Dungeon Crawler Carl book. And I think the one I'm going to go with is Dungeon Crawler Carl. I'll definitely be reading the audiobook, which is what I've done for the entire series so far. And if I make that my only audiobook for the month, which fingers crossed that works, but if I make that my only audiobook for the month, it won't matter that it's long, I'll just chip away at it. Whereas I feel like the Shardlake ones, you need to listen to in bigger chunks because the story is slower paced for the most part. The last prompt in the lava bending category is a lava bending master pick. Now for that, what it is you pick 10 books, you put them on the Discord, and other people that have already attained lava bending status vote on which one you should read. And the book that was picked for me is The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owen. This is, I think, a Hades Greek mythology retelling, but with a contest element. I've heard really, really good things about this one. I love Greek mythology retellings, I'm really hoping that it's going to work for me. I did hear it talked about in the same sort of breath as the Blood of Hercules, which I hated. So I'm really hoping that this one is going to be a success. I know the sequel came out late last year, September maybe, so hopefully it's a big success and I'll want to go straight into the next book. Speaking of Blood of Hercules, I don't actually need to do the 2 books that are the Kyoshi Warrior category because I've already done one back in July. Prompt that I still have outstanding is to read a book with a fan on the cover. And for this one, I'm picking another book that's been on my TBR for ages. It's one I've often been told by people whose recommendations I really respect and tend to agree with, that this is Crown Jewel by Sherwood Smith. It's been mentioned to me as being full of courtly politics, intrigue, lots of day-to-day fantasy life. I think I'm going to enjoy it. I think there's an element of a fantasy of manners here that tends to be something I really like. I've seen it mentioned when I've talked about enjoying The Goblin Emperor, so I have really, really high hopes for it. It's been on my shelf for way, way too long. I think there's an intimidation there where I know that once I've read it, I'll have read it, and what if I love it and I'll never be able to read it for the first time, so I should save it, but also I should read it. So I'm gonna do it. The fan on the cover is a tricky prompt to fill and this one matches it, so I think I just need to bite the bullet and go for it. And then the last prompt that I need to fill is again one that just finishes off a category. I'd already read one book for the Daily and now I just need to read a book with Traitor in the title. Again, this one has been so hard to fill that I've had the book on my shelf I think for about a year because I don't want to waste it. The book that I'm going to read for this one is The Traitor Barrow Cormorant by Seth Dickinson. This is one that I have heard is very heavily political fantasy, and again something that hopefully I'm going to enjoy. I think it has quite a morally grey, quite a pragmatic female protagonist, and that's something that I'm always looking for in my books. So those are the 5 books that I really have to read for the Avatar Readathon. At least I need to read them all this month if I want to finish the Earth Kingdom, and I feel like I do. This will be the 3rd round that I've played in this kingdom, and I really just want to draw a line under it and move on to something fresh in July. That being said, I'm really hoping that I can double up with some of the prompts that appear in the TBR Tailspin. I always feel like with January I wake up and we're on the 5th or the 7th. That first week just disappears into the ether, so it feels like a really short month even though it's not. I know, I just said that I'm not going to be doing too many readathons this month or this year, but clearly I'm a liar. So this is me just popping in to add something else to my TBR before we hop into the Tailspin Rolls. And that is that in January, Gabby Reads is running another round of Winterween. This is a short January readathon where the focus is on reading horror and thriller and bringing Halloween into the other seasons. For this particular round we are focused on vampires, and there is no way that I was going to miss a vampire themed round. We're allowed to double up, so I have narrowed that TBR down to 3, and I think if I really wanted to, if I'm pushed for time, I could narrow it down to 2, but for now I'm gonna say 3, be ambitious, and we'll see how it goes when it comes to actually working through the readathon. The first prompt is to read a book at night, and I will pick one of the 3 or one of the 2 to do that with, so it doesn't really count for a book. One of the prompts is to read a book that is from your 2025 TBR that you haven't got to yet, and the one that I am going to pick for this is Hemlock and Silver by T. Kingfisher. T. Kingfisher is an absolute favourite author of mine. Her fantasy usually has a slightly dark, slightly wry twist to it, so while I don't think this is exactly a horror, I think it's a dark enough fairy tale that it fits. The next prompt that I'm going to fill is a book with either a red cover or ideally a book with blood on the cover, and this one does both. House of Monstrous Women by Daphne Fama. I don't know anything about this book other than I saw other people that I usually kind of fall in with their recommendations had really enjoyed it. I saw the cover in Waterstones and I knew I had to have it, and you can see that this hand along the bottom here has some blood dripping from it. I'm hoping this one is going to be good, but since I don't know anything about it, I'm going to try and keep it that way right up until the readathon. One of the prompts is to read a book that is either a horror or a thriller, and that could either count for The House of Monstrous Women, or it could count for this next one, which is The Fox and the Devil by Kiersten White. This is one that comes out in March, but I have an arc, and it fits that final prompt fully, that it is about vampires. Again, it's one I don't know a lot about. I think it's a vampire hunter, vampire love story. I read Kiersten White's Lucy Undying, which was an actual Dracula retelling back in October, and I adored part of it and then was massively disappointed by part of it. This seems to be not a Dracula retelling, but just a vampire story in general, and I'm hoping that I'm going to enjoy that more. So for real this time, we're going to go into the Tailspin Rules. The rules are really simple. When you hit an updraft, that carries us forward. When you collide with another dragon, that knocks us back. The tailspin in the middle can take us either forward or backwards, depending on how it lands, but it always adds a cover colour prompt to the TBR. All the other spaces on the board go into one of 6 colour categories. The blacks are rereads, the blues are mood reads, orange means to continue a series, green means to pick a prompt from the card pile, red are challenge books like Buzzwordathon or Our Fantasy, and the purples are a personal goal. This can be something like reducing my NetGalley ratio, clearing my physical backlist, or using the library more. But whichever goal I pick the first time I land on a purple, I need to keep that throughout the rest of the game. This month I've decided to use the 20-sided die. It just makes my life so much easier. And for our first roll, we have a 2, so maybe not so much easier, but 1, 2, and 2, these are the ladders. That takes us up and lands us on a purple, which is the personal goal, or for me, I've tended to stick with the NetGalley. That's probably what I'm going to do for this month as well. The intention of this personal goal space was for it to be whatever every month I have used it as a NetGalley arc square, because that is my biggest goal. That is the thing that stresses me out the most in my reading, is trying to clear that NetGalley backlist even while I keep requesting more. So again, that's what I'm going to do here. It works perfectly because I can put The Ballad of Jasmine by Molly Ringle here, and that's the second book in that lava red, feather blue combined universe world. Second roll is an 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that lands me on the spinner wheel. So I don't count the red right away. I put this on the spinner, and whichever of the 6 colours I land on, I'll need to pick a book with a cover that colour. So that is a purple. So I'm adding a purple book cover, but it's worked in my favour because I've actually managed to skip ahead slightly. The tailspin really did me a solid here. It threw me ahead and it landed me on the purple cover pick. I was a little bit unsure what I was going to pick for purple, but it so happens that the third book in that lava red feather blue series, Quicksand Theatre Company, has a really dark aubergine purple cover, and so that's going to fit perfectly here. That means that I'm getting all 3 of that Molly Ringle series right into 1 month. I can binge them all back to back, and that's what I was looking for. That was the ideal plan. So from here, our next roll is a, oh, is that a 6 or an A? Does the dot go on the bottom? I think I'm gonna say that's a 6 and that's a 9. Is that right? We're gonna say it's a 6. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that puts me on the orange square, and that's to continue a series. The yellow squares are to continue a series, and I have the same duo that I could fit in here that would work really well, as I mentioned in the Avatar readathon for the 650 plus. Either the next Shardlake or the next Dungeon Crawler Carl would have been perfect, My plan is to put Dungeon Crawler Carl here. That doubles up and means that, especially since it is a bigger book, I'm getting my maximum bang for my buck on it. But I will tentatively put Shardlake here as well. If I have time at the end of the month, then maybe I'll use Shardlake instead. That 6th book would be Lamentation, but for the sake of my own sanity, I'm gonna say that I'll be reading The Eye of the Bedlam Bride, which is Dungeon Crawler Carl 6. I'm kind of hoping I don't get any 6s or 9s from now on, but there we go. It is a 19. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And it's a green, so that is a prompt. And the prompt is to read a book with a colour in the title. That might take a bit of digging. So the prompt that I pulled was colour in the title, and I think it's fairly obvious that this is one where I can double up, and I'm gonna put Lava Red Feather Blue by Molly Ringle right in here. And then obviously anything takes me to the end. So you can see that the board really paid off for me this month. Not only did I manage to scale it in 4, 5 rolls, but I managed to double up 2 of those prompts, and the other 2 were something I had really wanted to fit in anyway. I was really hoping all of those Molly Ringle books would fit in. I just didn't realise I would manage it so efficiently. Which means that my TBR for this month is actually really manageable. I have the 5 Avatar books, plus I have 2 that came purely from the TBR Tailspin. I do have a couple of other books I would like to read for myself. I would like to start, I might not finish, but I would like to at least start one Stephen King book. I've never read any Stephen King before, and one of my goals this year is to try one or a couple of his books and see how I find him as an author. I think it might be quite an interesting project. So that's definitely something I want to start, because I'm aware that a lot of his books are very long. I also have a buddy read with one of my friends. Obviously, I need to try and get to that. Then I'll be doing the monthly challenges for things like Buzzwordathon, although again, I'm hoping there'll be some double up there. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. I really hope you are looking forward to your January TBR. I'm really excited to know what your plans are for it. Are you setting new goals as we go into the new year? I feel like this is the time when I am feeling the most ambitious about my reading, because it feels like such a fresh start. Let me know if you feel that way too, and if you just want to leave an emoji to show me you listened, leave me some kind of dice in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I, as always, would really appreciate it if you are interested in subscribing to the channel. It'll let you see when I post my next TBR game, and maybe how I get on with some of these books if they end up featured in any vlogs. Have an awesome day, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.